hands. And you know what I'm talking about. Famous sexual study found 99% of the respondents admitted to masturbation. Guess what they concluded about the remaining 1%? They're liars. When does a boy have his first erection? It's probably about an hour after birth. Right? And you may or may not know the ebb and flow of that cycle. We were talking at a table recently. The average man thinks about sex every 7 seconds. And the guys looked astounded. Why? I said, it's a lot more frequent for me than that. Let's see the next slide, then. My bride, my Eve. What do you guys think? Take a minute and think about, what did Adam say when he first saw Eve? Oh, man. Come on, bring it out. How about this? Oh, baby, you better stand back. I'm not quite sure how big this thing gets. Merry Christmas, Adam. Whoa, what's happening? Yeah, and that's where it's at. And some of you are reacting, oh, come on, man, this is private. This is, God made this. He made our bodies to work this way. And He made it between men and women to have this perfect standoff. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to get practical. So, you ever tell my wife I put a picture of her in a bathing suit on I'll kill you. She's going to kill me. And I thought twice about it, and I thought, you know what? There's my Eve, and that's why I'm attracted to her. And God's given you an Eve, and what are you saying? What does she want? What does she need from you to open the door for you to have unimaginable hot monogamy? Hey, if you're there, this is going to help you to protect it. If you're not there, it's going to help you to get it. Essential ingredients. Okay, let's flip that off there before there's any more incriminating evidence. 50% of men in churches are dealing with something on the continuum of sexual addiction. Isn't that mind-boggling? So, we've got a problem. The good news is, there's a solution. God's way works. Perseverance wins the race. Let's click it down. Okay. To deny a man sex, nothing else feels important. Alright, honey, take out the trash. Let's do this honey-do list. Let's get things cleaned up. And what do you think about that? I talk with a lot of men who say, I just wish it wasn't that big of an issue. I wish I could deny myself. They try to shut the engine down. And they're looking unhappy and sapped of energy. Our vision is that we as Christian couples go out from our homes with smiles on our faces to do the kind of public ministry that was just advertised. And a long list of announcements, opportunities to go out to the public. How do you feel better putting a paintbrush in your hand or driving a nail or delivering baskets of food? The morning after disappointment or exceptional intimacy? How are you better witnesses to the world? You hear the statement, why don't Christians look like they're saved? We're not in bed enough. We're not enjoying each other, the God-given gift. And it's a challenge. Okay, if you think this is impossible, I thought it was impossible for a friend. And I've got to read this because I disguised a very real situation. And I don't want to slip on the real names. That's why I'm reading this to you. Tony and Karen had a big problem. She'd been raised around abuse and was often sexually abused by a variety of family members herself. When she and Tony married, their sex life was fine because they were usually high. And the demons that took her mind and body back to horrific trauma were held at bay by intoxication. She was able to do the deed to Tony's satisfaction, which meant fast and rough. But that was okay. Neither of them wanted anything more than physical relief. Their perpetual chemical highs kept them in a pretty complacent place. Years later, after receiving Christ and getting clean and sober, sex became a problem. No longer anesthetized from the memories of abuse, Karen became frigid, in fact, avoidant of physical intimacy. And that's when Tony took matters into his own hands, literally. He struggled with pornography. Well, he didn't really struggle. He just happily clicked on the computer mouse like a lab rat clicking the bar in his cage for another dose of cocaine. And that's exactly what it was. A powerful drug that temporarily made him forget about his sexless marriage and loveless partner. A dark screen, late at night, a hand in his lap, and you know the rest of the story. As a friend says, once the launch sequence has started, there is no stopping that rocket. Another failure to maintain sexual purity. A few moments of self-indulgent ecstasy, followed by more painful emotions, remorse, regret, guilt, and probably weakened ability to please his wife, if and when she became ready. How many of you have had the experience of having your wife ready, amorous, while you're still trying to recover from satisfying yourself? You get what I'm saying? She's ready to be intimate, but you've had it with yourself and you can't perform. Is there any worse feeling? Or you bring illicit images to bed. The bodies of dozens of other women that you've seen on the screen. And now you need to conjure them up in order to achieve arousal or climax. And you know you're wrong. You know it's bad, but somehow you can't break the cycle. You want better, you want more, but she doesn't seem to understand or be available, and so you rationalize self-satisfaction. Deep down, you know you're missing something, but you don't know how to make it different. Is there any worse feeling in the world? Degraded, dissatisfied, disconnected from the Eve God gave you to love. Back to Tony and Karen. Even as a trained clinician, I thought, this is a tough one. But their miracle was a result of two things: submission to God's way and perseverance. God's way works, and perseverance wins the race. They were both unwilling to settle for a sexless marriage. Both partners eventually did their part. Initially, it took the man, and he faithfully practiced the ABCs that I'm going to show you in a few moments. Karen went to therapy to deal with her abuse. Prompted by the good-heartedness, faithfulness, and purity of her husband, she said, I'll do the hard thing. I'll face the demons of my childhood. We're going to go for better. We're going to go for God's best. I saw my friend a year ago. How's it going? Unbelievable, he said. Hot, happy, frequent. Never thought we'd get there, but it's a true miracle story. God has that for each and every one of us. This is a tough area, gentlemen. Some of you are having all sorts of feelings inside. Some are reacting saying that you don't know my situation. I don't. He does. And he is capable. All right. Don't raise your hands on any more questions that I ask. Especially if you're happy, satisfied, and you have as much sex as you want to. Don't tell us who you are. We'll hurt you. Now, about sex drive, maybe you've seen this. Peaks at about 18 years old. Have you seen this? This graph? It peaks at about 18 years old, and then it slowly climbs till you see it declining till about the age 65, and then you die.